The patrol ship Sentinel glided through the dark void of space. Captain Trell stood on the bridge, his scaled skin catching the light of distant stars. His 4 eyes scanned the readings on the main display. "Captain, we have detected an unknown vessel at the edge of our sensor range," reported Officer Mick. Trell tilted his head. "Show me." The screen changed to display a small ship, clearly damaged. Bird marks scarred its hull, and one section appeared completely torn open. "It is not of any known design in our database," said Mick. "It appears to be drifting." "Life signs?" asked Trell. "Faint readings, 4 distinct patterns, but they are unusual, not matching any known species in the Confederation." Trell considered his options. The Galactic Confederation had strict protocols about unknown species. 7 advanced civilizations had formed this alliance thousands of years ago, and caution had kept them safe. "Move to intercept. Prepare the containment field and alert medical. We will bring them to Outpost 47. The crew followed his orders without question. Their ship easily caught up to the drifting vessel and surrounded it with a blue energy field. "Captain, the ship's life support systems are failing," reported the science officer. "If we wait for authorization from command, the life forms may not survive." Trell knew the risks of bringing unknown beings aboard. Disease, hostile intent, or worse could threaten his crew. But he had never lost a life under his command, and he would not start now. "Bring them aboard. Full quarantine protocols." Hours later, Trell stood outside the medical bay, watching through the clear barrier as his medical team examined 4 beings in stasis pods. They looked similar in basic shape to some Confederation species, but their features were unique. Smooth skin, varied coloration, and an unfamiliar body structure. "They appear to be in some form of induced sleep," said the doctor. Their ship's computer activated emergency stasis when life support began to fail. "Can you wake them?" asked Trell. "Yes, but I recommend we wait until we reach Outpost 47. Their physiology is unknown to us, and I would prefer to have more resources available." Trell nodded. "Agreed. Secure the vessel for transport and set course for Outpost 47. As the patrol ship accelerated toward the outpost, Trell sent a priority message to Confederation Command. "Unidentified vessel intercepted in Sector 7. 4 unknown life forms recovered. Request first contact specialist team at Outpost 47. Message ends. Unidentified vessel confirmed. Humans on board." He did not know how he knew they were called humans. The word had appeared in his mind when he looked at them. Perhaps their ship's emergency beacon had transmitted the information. Perhaps something else. But Trell had learned to trust his instincts. 3 days later, the patrol ship docked at Outpost 47. A team of specialists was waiting, led by Dr. Wren, a Malorian known for her work in xenobiology and first contact situations. "Show me," she said, without greeting. Trell led her to the medical bay. She approached the stasis pods, her luminescent skin glowing with interest. "Fascinating," she whispered. "They are unlike anything in our records." "Can you wake them safely?" asked Trell. "Yes," said Dr. Wren. "Their stasis technology is primitive but effective. They appear to be in good health, considering their circumstances." The medical team prepared the revival procedure under Dr. Wren's guidance. Trell watched as the first pod hissed open. Inside was a being with short, dark hair and a strong build. Its eyes fluttered open, revealing brown irises that widened in surprise at the sight of the aliens surrounding it. The being tried to speak, but only managed a hoarse whisper. Dr. Wren leaned closer, her natural empathic abilities reaching out to sense the being's emotions. She felt fear, confusion, but also a surprising resolve. "We come in peace," she said, though she knew the being couldn't understand her yet. But sometimes tone conveyed what words could not. The being looked at her, then at the others in the room. Then, remarkably, its mouth curved slightly upward in what Dr. Wren would later learn was called a smile. Dr. Wren watched as the 4 humans were carefully revived from stasis. Her empathic abilities sensed their confusion, fear, but also their determination. The translation devices were working overtime to decipher their language. The first human to fully recover was a tall male who identified himself as Captain Jack. His voice was firm despite his weakened state. "Where are we? Who are you?" he asked, his words now translated through the devices the team had been calibrating. "You are at Outpost 47, a facility of the Galactic Confederation," Dr. Wren explained. "I am Dr. Wren, xenobiologist and first contact specialist." The other humans were now awake and alert. A female with short blonde hair introduced herself as Lieutenant Anna. A stocky male with dark skin was Engineer Tom, and a slender female with auburn hair was Dr. Maya. "The Confederation?" asked Jack. "How many species?" "7 advanced civilizations form our alliance," explained Dr. Wren. "We have never encountered your kind before." Maya, the human doctor, approached Dr. Wren without fear. "Thank you for saving us. Our ship was damaged in an attack." "Attack?" Captain Trell stepped forward. "By whom?" The 4 humans exchanged glances. Jack spoke, his voice grave. "We call them the Swarm. They've been attacking human colonies for years. We escaped from Outpost Horizon after they destroyed it. We were trying to reach another colony for help when our ship was damaged in an asteroid field." Dr. Wren's skin pulsed with concern. "These Swarm, describe them." Tom pulled a small device from his pocket. "May I?" When Dr. Wren nodded, he tapped it, projecting an image into the air. The image showed insectoid creatures with multiple limbs and chitinous armor, swarming over human structures. Trell hissed in recognition. "The Devourers," he said. "We know of them." The humans looked at him with sudden hope. "You know them? Have you fought them?" asked Anna. "The Confederation has observed their expansion for decades," said Trell carefully. "We have maintained a policy of containment rather than direct conflict." Jack's expression hardened. "Containment? They're genocidal. They've destroyed 7 of our colonies already. Earth itself could be next." "Earth?" asked Dr. Wren. "Our homeworld," explained Maya. "It lies in what you would call the Orion arm of the galaxy." Dr. Wren conferred quietly with her team, then turned back to the humans. "You must understand, the Confederation does not interfere in conflicts outside our borders. It is our oldest law." "Then we're asking to cross your borders," said Jack firmly. "We're asking for help." Trell stepped forward. "That is not my decision to make. The Council must hear of this." "Then take us to your council," said Jack. "Let us speak for ourselves." Dr. Wren felt the strength of his conviction, the desperation beneath his words. She made her decision. "Captain Trell, I recommend we bring these humans to Centralis. The Council should hear their story directly." Trell hesitated, then nodded. "I will arrange transport. But understand, humans, that the Council rarely changes its policies, especially for unknown species." "They'll change this one," said Anna with surprising confidence, "once they understand what's at stake." Over the next few days, as they traveled to Centralis, the humans shared their history with Dr. Wren. They spoke of Earth, of their expansion to nearby stars, of their first contact with the Swarm 3 years ago. They showed records of battles, of colonies lost, of desperate last stands. "How have you survived this long?" asked Dr. Wren. "The Devourers, your Swarm, have overwhelmed species more advanced than yours." Tom smiled grimly. "We're stubborn, and we adapt quickly." As they approached Centralis, Dr. Wren received a message. The Council had agreed to hear the humans' plea, but only as a matter of record. The policy of non-intervention would stand. She did not tell the humans this. Something told her they might yet surprise everyone, including the Council. The Grand Chamber of the Confederation Council fell silent as the 4 humans entered. The 7 high seats, each occupied by a representative of the founding species, loomed over the circular floor. Jack stood tall despite his fatigue. Anna, Tom, and Maya flanked him. their faces showing a mix of awe and determination as they gazed at the alien leaders. The Varisian counselor spoke first, his voice echoing. Captain Trell and Dr. Wren have presented your case. You claim your species is under attack by what we know as the Devourers, and you seek our intervention. That's right, said Jack. We call them the Swarm. They've destroyed 7 human colonies and killed millions. We're fighting back, but our technology is inferior to theirs. The Draconian counselor leaned forward, her scaled face showing interest. Show us this fight of yours. Tom activated his device, projecting images that filled the chamber. The council watched footage of human ships, clearly outmatched, engaging swarm vessels. Despite overwhelming odds, the humans fought with surprising effectiveness, using unpredictable tactics. Impressive for such primitive vessels, growled the Draconian, genuine respect in her voice. The Malorian counselor's skin rippled with colors. Your species adapts quickly. I see evidence of rapid technological advancement between these battles. The Kryn counselor stroked his jeweled collar. There could be trade potential here, if their world survives. The Aulix representative, a being composed of thousands of tiny linked organisms, pulsed with uncertainty. Their individuality is disturbing, yet they coordinate effectively. The ancient Eldar, oldest of the Confederation species, remained silent, watching with eyes that had seen millennia pass. The Nexus representative, a mechanical being, spoke in precise tones. Probability of human survival without intervention, 12.7%. With intervention, 67.3%. Jack stepped forward. We're not asking you to fight our battles. We're asking for an alliance. Help us with technology, and we'll deal with the swarm. Murmurs filled the chamber. The Varisian raised a hand for silence. Bold words from a species we barely know. Why should we risk Confederation resources and potentially our own security? Maya stepped forward. Because the swarm won't stop with us. You've contained them so far, but for how long? They consume everything in their path. We have maintained successful containment for 3 centuries, said the Varisian. Tom moved to the center of the floor. With respect, Counselor, your containment is failing. The swarm is adapting to your defenses. We've analyzed their technology. He projected new images, showing detailed scans of swarm ships. Their current shield frequency modulation has shifted to bypass your perimeter sensors. Did you know that? The council stirred uneasily. The Nexus spoke. This information is correct. Recent patrol data shows a 3.2% decline in detection efficiency. We've developed countermeasures, said Tom. He pulled a small device from his pack. This is a prototype weapon we designed. It uses a rotating phase frequency to penetrate their shields. The Draconian's eyes widened. You created this with your technology level. Necessity drives innovation, said Anna. We've had to get creative to survive. The council withdrew for deliberation, leaving the humans waiting on the chamber floor. Hours passed before they returned. The Varisian spoke. We remain unconvinced that full intervention is warranted. However, we will send an assessment team to evaluate your claims and capabilities. If they deem an alliance beneficial, we will reconsider. It wasn't the answer they'd hoped for, but it was a start. As they left the chamber, Jack whispered to his team, 1 chance. That's all we need. Commander Vex, a decorated Draconian officer, was assigned to lead the assessment team. He made no effort to hide his skepticism as they prepared to depart for human space. Do not expect me to be impressed by primitive determination, he told Jack. The Confederation does not form alliances lightly. Jack simply nodded. You'll see what we're capable of soon enough. Commander Vex watched Lieutenant Anna's hands move across the ship's controls. The human female had requested permission to pilot through the asteroid field, claiming she knew a faster route than the standard navigation path. This is foolishness, Vex had protested, but the Malorian scientist Nera had overruled him, curious to see human skills firsthand. Now, as the ship darted between massive rocks with precision that even Vex had to admit was impressive, he studied Anna's face. Her eyes tracked multiple threats simultaneously, her reactions almost prescient. "How did you learn to pilot like this?" he asked. "Necessity," she replied without taking her eyes off the controls. "The swarm chased us through fields twice as dense as this. You either get good fast, or you die." Across the ship, other displays of human capability were unfolding. In the engine room, Engineer Tom worked alongside the Kryn technical officer. The human had suggested modifications to the drive system that the Kryn had initially dismissed as impossible. Now the ship's efficiency had increased by nearly 17%. In the medical bay, Dr. Maya tended to a Nexus crew member whose mechanical systems had been damaged in a power surge. Though unfamiliar with the technology, she had quickly grasped its biological interface and was applying a solution that combined medical gel with a conductor the Nexus hadn't considered. "Your approach is unorthodox," the Nexus observed, "but effective." "Sometimes you have to improvise," Maya replied. Meanwhile, Captain Jack mediated a heated argument between the Draconian security officer and the Varisian diplomat. The two species had ancient tensions, and a dispute over security protocols had escalated dangerously. "Both approaches have merit," Jack said calmly. "The Draconian security measures provide necessary protection, but the Varisian diplomatic concerns about appearing hostile are valid. What if we implement the security in phases, increasing gradually as we approach human space?" Both aliens looked at him with surprise, then reluctant agreement. As they neared the hidden human military base, Commander Vex called the assessment team together. "We will observe only," he reminded them. "Our purpose is evaluation, not intervention." The base itself was a revelation. Built into an asteroid and powered by a makeshift fusion reactor, it housed a fleet of small, heavily modified ships. Humans worked with determined efficiency, repairing, building, training. "This is Base Horizon," Jack explained. "One of 3 remaining outposts defending the approach to Earth. Your main weapons are projectile-based?" asked the Draconian weapons officer, examining a human fighter craft. "Kinetic weapons still work when energy fails," Tom said, "and we found ways to enhance them." Commander Vex observed silently, noting the resourcefulness evident in every aspect of the base. These humans used technology far below Confederation standards, yet they had accomplished remarkable adaptations. The base commander, a weathered human male named Reed, greeted them with cautious respect. "We've lost contact with Outpost Delta," he told Jack grimly. "Could be communications failure, but—" An alarm blared through the base. Screens activated, showing multiple signals approaching. "Swarm vessels," Reed confirmed. "Attack formation." Vex stepped forward. "We should depart immediately. Our mission is assessment, not combat." "Too late," said Anna, pointing to the tactical display. "They've cut off the escape vector." Reed turned to Jack. "Your call, Captain. Our ships can escort your vessel out the secondary route, but we'd have to punch through their forward line." "No," said Jack firmly. "We stay and fight with you." Vex's protest died on his lips as he saw the determination in the human's eyes. Perhaps this was what he needed to see: humans in combat against the swarm. "Our vessel has superior weapons," he said finally. "We will assist in your defense." The next hours were chaos. Human ships launched, performing maneuvers that seemed suicidal until they succeeded. The Confederation vessels' advanced weapons carved through swarm ships, but the insects adapted quickly, changing formations and shields. When a swarm breacher pod attached to the base's outer hull, Vex found himself fighting alongside humans in the narrow corridors, witnessing firsthand their courage and tactical flexibility. A human soldier fell protecting a Malorian scientist. Another human immediately modified their weapon on the spot to compensate for the swarm's newly adapted armor. By the time the attack was repelled, Vex's assessment had shifted dramatically. These humans were not merely surviving against the swarm. They were learning, adapting, and occasionally winning, despite overwhelming disadvantages. As they treated their wounded, Jack approached Vex. "Now you've seen what we're up against," he said quietly, "and what we can do." Vex nodded slowly. "I have seen enough to continue our assessment, but there is more here than is immediately apparent." The aftermath of the battle left the human base damaged but functional. Commander Vex moved through the corridors, observing the humans as they repaired systems and tended to their wounded. Their efficiency, despite exhaustion, impressed him. In the command center, a captured swarm drone lay partially dissected on a table. Engineer Tom and the Kryn technical officer hovered over it, extracting its memory core. "The drone's navigation data might tell us why they attacked this specific outpost," Tom explained. "They usually hit our resource centers first." Vex approached the table. "Your species has captured intact swarm technology before." "When we can," said Tom. "It's not easy. They usually self-destruct. But we gotten better at disabling their fail-safes." The Malorian scientist joined them, her skin pulsing with excitement. "Captain, I've been analyzing the communication patterns between swarm units during the battle. There's something unusual." "Show me," said Vex. She displayed a series of signal patterns on the screen. "These are standard swarm tactical communications, but these," she highlighted another set. "These are different. They appear when swarm units encounter humans specifically." "Different how?" asked Jack. "They're priority signals," said the Malorian, "tagged with their highest command codes." Dr. Maya entered, carrying biological samples. "I may have something related. The swarm drones we killed show evidence of a neurochemical surge when they engage with humans, not present when they fought your Confederation soldiers." Vex's inner eyelids flickered, a sign of deep thought among Draconians. "Are you suggesting the swarm has specific protocols for humans?" "More than protocols," said Tom, who had finished extracting data from the drone. "Look at this." The screen displayed a star map with human colonies marked. Several were crossed out, destroyed. But the pattern of attack wasn't random expansion. The swarm had bypassed easier targets to reach human settlements. "They're specifically targeting you," said Vex, his voice low with realization. "But why?" asked the Verishan diplomat. "Humans pose no special threat to them. Your technology is inferior." Maya stepped forward. "Maybe it's not about our technology. Maybe it's about us." She displayed cellular scans of human tissue alongside swarm biological data. "Humans adapt quickly, not just culturally or technologically, but biologically. Our immune systems can overcome swarm biological weapons within generations, not millennia. Our genetic structure allows for rapid evolution compared to most species." The Confederation team exchanged glances. "Are you suggesting the swarm sees humans as a long-term threat?" asked Vex. Jack nodded slowly. "We suspected something like this, but couldn't confirm it. The swarm is playing the long game. They've encountered species that could fight them to a standstill, like yours, but they've never met a species that could potentially outvolve them." A sudden explosion rocked the base. The communications officer shouted, "Second wave incoming, bigger than the first." Reed turned to Jack. "You need to go, now. Take what we've learned to the Confederation." "We can't just leave you," Jack protested. "That's an order, Captain," said Reed firmly. "This information is more important than one base." As they raced to the Confederation vessel, swarm ships broke through the human defenses. The base's shields were failing. "Their tactics have adapted already," said Anna as she piloted through the chaos. "They've never committed resources like this before." As their ship escaped into hyperspace, Vex watched the humans. Their faces showed grief for their comrades left behind, but also determination. "You knew," he said to Jack. "You knew why the swarm feared your kind." "We suspected," Jack admitted, "but we needed proof that the Confederation would accept. Now we have it." Vex made his decision. "When we return to Centralis, I will advocate for a full alliance with humanity." Jack looked surprised. "You were the most skeptical among your team." "I was," agreed Vex. "But I have seen enough. The swarm fears what you might become. Perhaps the Confederation should reconsider what you already are." The emergency session of the Confederation Council began in chaos. Representatives from all 7 species filled the chamber, voices raised in argument. The appearance of the swarm so close to Confederation space had sparked fear and debate. Commander Vex stood before the council, his report complete. The 4 humans waited silently behind him. "The evidence is clear," Vex concluded. "The swarm is specifically targeting humans because they represent a unique threat. The potential for rapid adaptation and evolution that could eventually challenge swarm dominance." The Verishian counselor's voice cut through the chamber. "Even if true, this does not obligate us to intervene. Our policy of containment has protected the Confederation for centuries." "The containment has already failed," countered Vex. "The swarm attacked within range of our assessment vessel. They are growing bolder, and their technology is advancing rapidly through conflict with the humans." The Draconian counselor leaned forward. "Commander Vex, your own records show these humans fought with surprising effectiveness, despite their technological disadvantages. Explain." Vex gestured to his team members, who each addressed the council in turn. The Draconian security officer spoke first. "Their combat tactics are unlike any I have seen. They use unpredictable patterns and are willing to take calculated risks that confound enemy targeting systems." The Kryn technical expert added, "Their innovation rate is remarkable. Engineer Tom improved our propulsion efficiency using materials we would never have considered compatible." The Malorian scientist's skin pulsed with color as she spoke. "Their biology shows unusual resilience and adaptability. Dr. Maya healed injuries using methods that combined our techniques with their own in novel ways." The Verishian diplomat nodded. "Captain Jack demonstrated exceptional skill in mediating between our species, despite knowing little of our cultural history." The chamber fell silent as the Eldar counselor, who rarely spoke, raised a gnarled hand. "I have seen many species rise and fall over millennia," the ancient being said, voice like rustling leaves. "These humans possess the spark, the quality we have searched for since the founding of the Confederation." Murmurs filled the chamber. The Eldar had not endorsed a new species in over 500 years. The Nexus counselor's mechanical voice cut through the noise. "Revised calculations indicate a 73% improvement in survival probability against the swarm with human alliance, compared to continued isolation." The Aulex counselor, the collective voice of thousands of linked organisms, spoke last. "They demonstrate the paradox we have not resolved: individual action with collective purpose. This merits study." The council withdrew for deliberation. The humans waited, tension evident in their posture. When the council returned, the Verishian spoke. "For the first time in 5 centuries, the Confederation will extend formal alliance to a new species. Humanity will receive technological assistance and military support against the swarm." Relief washed over the humans' faces, but Jack stepped forward. "With respect, counselors, we need more than technology. We need your active participation. This isn't just our fight anymore." The Draconian counselor's scales rippled with what might have been amusement. "Bold, even now. Very well, human. The Confederation will commit forces to a joint defense." In the days that followed, the alliance took shape. Human officers were paired with Confederation counterparts. Jack was appointed liaison commander, bridging the 2 military structures. Humans shared their combat experience against the swarm, while Confederation engineers upgraded human vessels with advanced shields and weapons. Scientist teams combined their knowledge, developing new countermeasures against swarm technology. In a private moment, Vex found Jack on an observation deck, looking out at the stars. "Your people adapt quickly to our technology," Vex noted. Jack nodded. "And your people are learning to think more like us, less constrained by tradition." "The Confederation has been stable for millennia," said Vex. "But perhaps stability led to stagnation. Your arrival has disrupted things. Is that good or bad? Asked Jack. Vex considered the question. The Eldar spoke of a spark. I did not understand until I fought alongside you. Your species has a quality we may need if we are to survive what's coming. And what's that? You never accept defeat as final, said Vex. Even against impossible odds, you find another way. 3 months after the humans' arrival, a combined fleet of Confederation and human ships prepared for departure. Their destination, the main swarm hive cluster. Their mission, not containment, but decisive victory. The combined fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the swarm-controlled system. 200 Confederation vessels, sleek and powerful, flew in perfect formation. Among them were 50 human ships, their hulls reinforced with Confederation technology, but still bearing the marks and patches of years of hard fighting. On the bridge of the command ship, Lays and Commander Jack stood beside Commander Vex. The tactical display showed the swarm hive cluster, a massive structure orbiting a captured planet, surrounded by thousands of defender ships. They've detected us, reported Anna from the sensor station. Her skills had earned her a position controlling the advanced Confederation scanning systems. All ships, battle formation, ordered Vex. The fleet began to shift into the attack pattern they had practiced for weeks. Jack opened the fleet-wide communication channel. This is Lays and Commander Jack. For 3 months, we have trained together, learned from each other, and prepared for this moment. Today, we end the swarm threat. Not just for humanity, not just for the Confederation, but for all species who deserve the right to determine their own future. Incoming swarm vessels, announced Anna. Their numbers are significant. As expected, said Vex calmly. Implement Phase 1. The human vessels moved to the front of the formation, their new shields glowing as they absorbed the first wave of swarm attacks. Behind them, Confederation ships launched specialized disruptor fields developed from human theoretical designs, creating windows of vulnerability in the swarm's coordinated defenses. The battle expanded rapidly, with swarm reinforcements pouring from the hive cluster. The combined fleet's initial advantage began to waver as the swarm adapted to their tactics. They're learning faster than we anticipated, said Tom from the engineering station. The hive must be directing their adaptations. Maya, who had been analyzing swarm communication patterns, looked up from her console. The central node. It's coordinating their response. If we could disrupt it. Jack and Vex exchanged glances. This possibility had been discussed, but deemed too risky. A direct assault on the central node would mean penetrating their heaviest defenses, said Vex. Not necessarily, said Anna. Look here. She highlighted a maintenance channel on the hive structure. This is a thermal regulation conduit, small, but potentially navigable by a single ship. A suicide mission, said Vex flatly. Not if the ship is fast enough, countered Anna. I can fly it. Jack started to protest, but saw the determination in her eyes. He turned to Tom. Could you modify one of our smaller vessels with a disruptor that could affect the central node? Give me an hour, said Tom. As the main battle continued, Tom worked frantically to modify a 2-person scout ship with a specialized disruptor. Anna prepared for the mission, studying the approach vector. I'm going with you, Maya announced, surprising them both. It's too dangerous, said Anna. The disruptor might need biological adjustment once you're inside, Maya explained. The swarm's neural network has organic components. I've studied them more than anyone. When the moment came, Jack gripped Anna's shoulder. Come back. That's an order. Anna smiled. Yes, sir. The scout ship launched, its enhanced engines flaring as it accelerated toward the hive cluster. Swarm vessels moved to intercept, but concentrated fire from the Confederation fleet created a brief corridor. On the command ship, Jack and Vex watched the small vessel dart between massive swarm ships, taking hits but still pushing forward. They're at the entry point, reported the tactical officer. Then the scout ship vanished from sensors as it entered the thermal conduit. For 20 long minutes, the battle continued with no word from Anna and Maya. The combined fleet was holding its own but could not achieve a decisive advantage. "Something's happening," said Tom suddenly, pointing to the tactical display. The swarm ships nearest the hive were moving erratically, their coordination failing. The disruption spread outward, affecting more and more swarm vessels. Their precise formations dissolved into chaos. "They did it," breathed Jack. Vex immediately seized the advantage. "All ships, full attack. Target their command vessels." The Confederation fleet surged forward, their weapons tearing through the now disorganized swarm defenses. Human ships, more accustomed to fighting without perfect coordination, led the assault with devastating effectiveness. As the hive cluster began to break apart under concentrated fire, a small scout ship emerged from a secondary conduit, trailing smoke but intact. "This is Scout 2, came Anna's voice over the comm. "Mission accomplished. Request immediate pickup. We've got valuable data on swarm neural structures." 6 hours later, the battle was over. The swarm hive cluster was destroyed, its remaining ships scattered and leaderless. In the aftermath, as the fleet regrouped and assessed damages, Jack found himself on the observation deck again, joined by Vex. "The Council has approved full membership for humanity in the Galactic Confederation," said Vex, "the first new member in 500 years. Jack nodded, watching as repair ships tended to damaged vessels. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now," said Vex, "we rebuild together. The remaining swarm forces will be tracked and eliminated, human colonies will be restored, and a new confederation will emerge. Stronger for having been tested, more flexible for having been changed." 1 year later, a new vessel launched from the Centralis shipyards. Larger than any previous Confederation ship, it carried a mixed crew of all 7 traditional species, plus humans. On its bridge stood Captain Jack, now wearing the formal uniform of a Confederation fleet commander. "Helm, set course for Earth," he ordered. "It's time the Confederation formally met our homeworld." As the ship accelerated into hyperspace, its name gleamed on the hull. Alliance. In the Confederation Historical Archives, a new entry was recorded. The arrival of a single damaged human vessel marked the beginning of the Confederation's most profound transformation in 10,000 years of history.